welcome to another episode of Ask Away Wednesday. I'm James Beecham from Alter, joined today by special guest Jonathan Sander, Security Field CTO of Snowflake and Alter board member. And the question today, Jonathan, is a statement followed by a question. And the statement is, we've never seen a headline about Snowflake being breached in the news. So why all the focus on security and governance as it relates to Snowflake migrations and Snowflake use cases?
There is a lot of focus on security and governance. Three reasons. I mean, the first one, the simplest, it's cloud panic, right? So The cloud is still, even for 20 years in, the new scary thing somehow. And Snowflake, is of course even newer than that. So there's some specific cloud panic for us. The second point, though, it's subtler. We keep coming up against this lift and shift idea as we have these conversations. And people who have had these workloads running on-prem for a long time have built a set of security controls that they have used to pass internal audits, third-party regulatory audits, and a lot of other control steps that they need just to run the business, really. And anytime you disturb something like that, whether it's to put it in the cloud or not, it's going to create a focus on, well, how do I again create those controls, right? How do I make that happen again? How do I pass my audits again? Right. And if those 2 points are a little negative, the third one I think is positive in the sense that Snowflake gives you a lot to work with from a security and governance point of view. And maybe you wanted to do things like dynamic data masking or row-level controls in the past, and you just didn't have the capability in the platforms that you had before. Now that you can reimagine how you're doing things. And that also draws focus, right? Is this idea that we have these powers that we didn't have before now that we're going to this new platform, right?
Yeah, we had spoken about that last point on previous editions, just the amount of development and new features that are enabled inside of platforms like Snowflake, which are hosted on these hyperscalers, makes the on-prem security layers and security practices look obsolete. Because they will eventually become that way too. And I think your second point is really, really spot on as well too. When you get comfortable with a piece of security, whether it's data or endpoint or anything, and then you go to change that, it makes people very nervous. And so I think your points were spot on there, and I think it's going to be kind of a continued focus for folks. Especially as we kind of get into this kind of second or third wave of Snowflake 3.0 and kind of the push of even more workloads going in there. So great. Well, thank you, Jonathan, very much. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Join us next week for another episode of Ask Away Wednesday. Please don't forget to submit questions below, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.